Well, welcome, my friends, to another edition of the Chief Audit Executive Briefing. Hey, this week there was a lot of stuff in the news again. And so, again, I've picked out a few of the things down below for you to kind of peruse through and consider how this may be affecting you or your organization. But again, this week kind of reminded me a little bit of a Beatles song. I read the news today, oh boy. And oh boy, right? The stock market took a big tank, and there were some other economic news that happened. Now, the reason that I'm bringing this up is, I've been talking to you about this for a while, but there have started to be economic signs that we are heading into a recession. Okay. Now, what'll probably happen is after this week, things will kind of bump up. People are going to forget about it, and they're going to kind of go on with their life thinking that most everything is okay. And the reason that I bring this up is I want to talk about a concept: elephants versus shiny objects. Okay. And the way this ties in is, you've heard me here talking about cybersecurity and some of the cyber hacks as well, because a lot of people are concerned about that because that is top of the news and that might be what your executives are talking about. So obviously it's good to talk to them. But things like cyber and some of the other things that I like to call shiny objects, things that get written up a lot of times in the management magazines that people are so concerned about, are probably not the risks that are going to really impact your company significantly. Those are the elephants in the room. And that's why I'm talking about elephants versus shiny objects. So again, we need to be careful that we don't focus all of our attention on the shiny objects when there's a big elephant standing in the room. And so again, if you're noticing that people in your organization are doing that, this is one of the areas where we can start to provide some insight and raise those things up, just to make sure people are thinking about it and realize that it's there, and not get distracted with something that seems sexy and shiny and then end up being surprised when something big happens. And so again, I know all of you are old enough to remember, but when 2008 happened, how many people were surprised? Oh, it was the perfect storm. I never could have predicted all these things that people were saying. But if you were watching, the elephant was in the room for quite a while. And I think we're starting to see some of that again. So just keep that on your radar. The other thing that I wanted to talk to you about this week is this last Jamming with Jason podcast episode that I did. I want you to go back and listen to it. It's about, is your internal audit team playing varsity or junior varsity ball? And in that, I go through and ask several different questions that I want you to ask yourself, because I think sometimes we think we're doing what we need to do and everything is fine. When we start to ask questions, we realize that maybe things are not as good as they could be, or we could be improving. And so especially if you are frustrated, if you're feeling like you're being ignored, if you're not getting the resources that you want or need, there's a good chance other people in the organization view you as playing junior varsity or minor league ball. And if you want to be in the big game, if you want to play varsity, if you want to be in the big leagues, there's probably some things that you're going to need to do. So I've included that link higher up. Lots of different podcast episodes are included below, but I wanted to make sure and highlight that and encourage you to go out and listen to that this week. Ask yourself those questions and see if there are any things that you need to start doing to change that perception in your organization. And with that, that's what I have for this week. Again, even though some of the news out there might be a little negative, I want you to stay positive. Okay, a lot of these things are outside of our control. Knowing about them helps us be able to prepare for them, but ultimately stay positive, my friends, because that's your energy level, and staying positive really, really helps in both your professional as well as your personal life. So go out and make this a great next week, and I'll talk to you next week.